Hello, and welcome to episode 476 of the TEW 2020 Challenge Run. This is going to be the 2024 Royal Rumble pay-per-view event as we officially kick off the road to WrestleMania 40 here in Chicago tonight. If I do say so, an absolute fucking stacked show. Big title matches, 5 of them, a huge Bloodline Civil War tag team match, and of course 2 40-person Royal Rumbles. Without any more further ado, let's jump straight into the show. We start off with a 74 rated pre-show match. For the Cruiserweight Trios Championships, it is LA Extremes, Rush, Santos Escobar, and Jorge Santana defeating the trio of Clark Connors, Dan Maloney, and Gabe Kidd, who I've yet to give an official stable name to. In 13:51, Santos Escobar pins Dan Maloney with a Phantom Driver to make defense number 3 of the Cruiserweight Trios Championships. 57 for Gabe Kidd, 48 for Dan Maloney, 59 for Clark Connors, 70 for Jorge Santana, 68 for Santos Escobar, and a 92 for Rush. Yeah, maybe we've got a new god on our hands here. Gabe Kidd was angry, Santos nearly injured him. Well, grow up, he didn't. Rumble hype video, opening package. Cody and Finn, WWE Championship match. Io and Tegan, SmackDown Women's Championship match. Rhea and Becky, title versus career for the WWE Women's Championship. And of course that Bloodline Civil War tag team match. Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa against the Usos. And we actually kick off the night with the WWE Championship on the line. Cody Rhodes defending against Finn Balor in a 99 rated match. I was tossing and turning, I think I've said this before, between AJ and Finn, because I think, AJ hasn't had the chance to wrestle Cody for the title, but Finn has. So I was like, I should probably give AJ the match. But he was also scoring a lot less than Finn was. And now I feel vindicated in that because, this gets a 99. And I believe they've actually had a 99 rated match before in King of the Ring 2 years ago. But yes, it is Cody Rhodes who does defeat Finn Balor. 15 minutes and 50 seconds of a Crossroads to make defense number 1 of his WWE Championship title. The sequel to the story kicks off in a strong way here tonight. Cody gets a 97 and an 88 for Finn. And big win for Cody to kick off the night, Him and Finn, they shake hands, they do Too Sweet after the match, then Cody leaves when the lights shut out. And when the lights come back on, Finn Balor is dropped by a black mass at the hands of the House of Black. Alistair specifically, AJ charges at him, he also gets black masked. And then, he gets into his feet, Brody King and Ciampa, they double team him. And then Alistair Black, he just sits cross-legged next to Finn Balor. He goes, I see, a mere man wasn't enough to secure you your grand prize. What's gonna change, Finn, huh? What have you gotta do? I think I have an idea. Because I set the Black Heart free, and now soon I'll do the same to the demon. We then cut backstage to, Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis are there with the tumbler. They're tumbling the numbers around, bantering ahead of the Rumble. When in walks Dirty Dom, he's the first person to walk in. He goes, hey, doesn't really matter what number I take tonight because I'm going to win it from whatever number I'm in. Reminds me of days in prison when I'd take on, 60 guys and I'd knock them all out. So 39, that's easy. He opens his number up and he sort of looks at it and he looks disgusted at what he pulled. He goes, actually, this ball's faulty, I'm just going to put it back and take a different one. He goes, no, Dom, that's the number you took. That's your number in the match. And he goes, but I don't want this one. Can I get a different one? And he goes, no. Take your number and shove it. And then Dirty Dom leaves. Chelsea Green then walks in. She goes, the nerve of that guy, can you believe it? Who'd ever be so, rude and insulting to management like that? And they always go, good one, Chelsea. And she takes the ball out and she goes, actually, I'm going to open this in my locker room because I don't want you, to ruin this moment for me. I don't want you knowing what number I'm in. And she leaves. Christian and Dijak then walk in. He goes, this Royal Rumble's mine. It doesn't matter what number, it's whose. Because I'm just going to win it. I've got a strategy devised. Nobody can knock me out of the match if I don't even enter it. He pulls the ball out. And he opens the number. Dijak pulls the ball out as well, though. And Dijak overlooks across at Christian's number. Christian looks across at Dijak's. Christian goes, do you mind giving me that one? And then Dijak just walks off. And he goes, I guess not. Charlotte Flair then is with the Royal Dynasty by her side. And she goes, we're yet to have a 2-time Women's Royal Rumble winner, but tonight I'm feeling lucky. Okay, there are 10 extra numbers in here, but any one of these could hold my destiny. She pulls the ball out. She takes a look at it. She goes, I can work with this. It's not ideal, but, it's not awful. Then Ariana Gray's like, Charlotte, you could enter at number 1 and go all the way and eliminate all 39 other women because you are Miss Royal Rumble. Those 39 women are going to think they've got what it takes to come out on top. But it's my queen, you, Charlotte Flair, are the best of them all. And then Charlotte leaves, Ariana lingers behind, and she takes a ball of her own before she scoots on out. 76. A short match here for the ECW Women's title. One of them had to be short, and it was this one, probably. But yeah, Julia does defeat Gigi Dolan in 8:51 with a crossbody to make defense number 5 of the ECW Women's Championship. 85 for Julia, 73 for Gigi Dolan. And yeah, another defense for the champion. We then cut back to the tumbler room, and Thea Hale's there. She's, aggressively, spinning the tumbler. And Andre Hayes hyping her up, going, okay, Thea, you got this, okay? You've got this as Chase U's representative in this Royal Rumble match. You're going to go all the way to WrestleMania. She goes, I'm going to go to WrestleMania, Mr. Chase. I'm going to do it. She pulls the ball out. She goes, oh my God, I'm in the Royal Rumble. Open it up, Mr. Chase. And he does it. And he looks at the number. He goes, And he goes, what? And he goes, Thea, I believe that you can pull this off for us, but, we could have got a better number. I'm not going to lie. She goes, well, I am going to do it, Mr. Chase. I'm going to kick the ass of whoever walks into this room right now to prepare myself. It's Daniel Bryan. And he goes, get her out of my way. Get this child out of my way. And he just walks up, takes a ball. He opens his ball up and he goes, interesting. And he walks around, he leaves. And then Queendom do walk in. Guy goes, well, girls, tonight's a big night for Queendom, Not only will, the Joshi Judas, the Women's World Champion, Io Sky, the Genius of the Sky, retain the Women's Championship over that traitor Tegan Knox with, the new mascot Flag Bearer Piper by ringside, so she knows what is good for her. But one of you two is going to win the Royal Rumble. I believe it. Stick to the plan and we'll get it all done. Utami pulls a number out. Dakota pulls her number out as well. They both look at the numbers. They both look happy. And Cammy goes, great. Don't you love it when a plan comes together? And then her and Utami leave. And Dakota follows them out behind. But he's like, yeah. Yeah, I do. 85. I'll take that. LA Knight does beat Bronson Steiner with a BFT in 12:07. The finish of this match, I want to say, is I have a specific finish in mind. Because the whole story's been LA Knight's being, the old guy and Bronson Steiner's the new guy. So, in reality, I'd have Bronson Steiner beat himself in this match. And by that I mean, it's he's taking the fight to LA Knight outside the ring. And he goes to spear LA Knight through the barricade, but LA Knight does dodge out of the way. Or the Timekeeper's area players, over there. And he gets out of the way, so Bron Breakker just goes crashing through the barricade. And, the referee's counting him out. He gets to 9. Braun Baker does get back in the ring at 9, but he just walks straight into a BFT, and LA Knight pins him 1, 2, 3 to retain the World Heavyweight Championship. 82 for LA Knight, yeah, and a 78 for Bronson Steiner. So yeah, 3 matches, 3 title defenses so far. You know, will that continue for the rest of the night? Who's to say? You know, we do have 2 more to come, even. But first, we all know why you're here. It's Royal Rumble season. 2 40-person matches this year. 40 for 40, Triple H called it. You know, 40 men, 40 women, WrestleMania 40. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match. Now in this match, the 2 superstars who drew number 1 and number 2 will start in the ring at the same time. Entries will occur every 90 seconds based on the numbers drawn earlier on tonight. This will continue until all 40 women superstars have entered the match. Now the only way to be eliminated from the match is to be thrown over the top rope with both feet landing on the floor. The last remaining superstar in the ring will be declared the winner of the 2024 Royal Rumble and will receive a WWE Women's World or ECW Women's Championship match at the 40th anniversary of WrestleMania. Last year's Royal Rumble winner, the former Women's World Champion Candice LeRae. She's hoping to go back-to-back here, but to do that, she has to go in from number 1 and outlast 39 other women. I mean, Rhea Ripley won from number 2 years ago, but that was only with 30 women in the match. So this is a tough ask for last year's winner. But, you know, she did it last year, she might do it again. She has a lot of unfinished business with Queendom right now, and, you know, tonight could be her chance to get revenge. Entering number 2, ECW Spitfire, Liv Morgan. You know, she's had a bit of a weird time recently. She's working this match hurt, so she's got to be half injured at number 2 and going all the way if she wants to earn a Women's Championship match at WrestleMania. The bell rings, and Candice and Liv, they shake hands before they eventually do get into a fight, you know. Both women, you know, they get thrown over the top. They both skin the cat, holding on. And then the crowd gives them a round of applause because we love both these women. Before the countdown sounds for the first time tonight, and entrant number 3 makes her way out.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar. And now I see that.
Bianca Belair's music hits, and she walks out onto the stage alongside Jakara Jackson. And Candice is obviously like, you know, come on, bitch, get your ass in here. And Bianca just walks to the back, as Jakara is the one who actually makes her way down to the ring. And obviously she immediately jumps on Candice, starts giving her a Fez press. And then, you know, once she's taken Candice down, she poses for a couple of seconds. Liv then hits her with a code breaker, you know, double knee face breaker. And then Candice quickly springs to her feet, dumps Jakara Jackson out of the ring, and making her the first elimination of the Rumble. Candice laughs at her, as Jakara's, you know, moaning on the outside. And then Candice and Liv go back at it before no more eliminations occur, and entrant number 4 makes her way out. NXT's Kiana James enters at number 4. She got her bag with her, and she goes to work on Liv. She hits that 401k on Candice as well, laying her out. She then tries to eliminate Candice, but she hangs onto the top rope before fighting her way back in the ring. No eliminations occur, and then entrant number 5 makes her way out to the ring. Raw's Sol Ruca is number 5 in the Royal Rumble. She's accompanied by Zoe Stark to the ring, but Zoe's not dressed to compete, so just Sol is in the match tonight. She enters with a big springboard move, taking down Kiana James before, kipping up and taking in the crowd's applause. She then takes the fight to Liv and Candice, just 3 babyface women, fighting it out to try and go to WrestleMania. No eliminations occur, and number 6 makes her way out. Indy Hartwell from SmackDown is number 6. She's had a very weird run recently, with her recent breakdown on Heat and attempting to, find her form once again. But she rushes to the ring and she hits a big boot on Liv Morgan right away. She then, tries to eliminate Sol Ruca, who skins the cat, re-enters the ring, and then, the fighting continues. No eliminations take place in this 90 seconds before entrant number 7 makes her way out. Former Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion Sonya Deville, she's looking to capture her final title, the ECW Women's title, and she can do that. She can guarantee a shot at that by winning this match. She comes in, she takes down Indy Hartwell with several of those knee strikes. Kiana James fights with Liv and Candice, fights with Sol, just going at it. A couple of attempts at eliminations, but everyone ends up fighting back in. And then Candice and Sol go at each other. They charge at each other, they both go for drop kicks, they both take each other down with drop kicks. The same with Liv and Kiana with clotheslines, and Sonya and Indy with big boots. So every woman is down on the floor, and entrant number 8 enters to a ring of downed women. It's the Royal Dynasty's Ariana Grace. She comes to the ring with a microphone, waving to the crowd on her way out to the ring. She gets in the ring as, everyone's down, so I'm probably stirring and, looking up at her. She goes, "Ladies, I understand that every single one of you wants to be the one to win the Royal Rumble match, and honestly, I appreciate that you want to do it from the very beginning, but the fact of the matter is, there are 40 women in this match, and the odds are heavily against you. But I believe if you put your mind and heart to it, you can overcome those odds. At least until Charlotte Flair, my queen, enters the match, and she wins, and she goes on to main event WrestleMania. She then, starts putting, soft stomps on anyone who starts to, stir, to make sure she's the only one left standing, and then the countdown does begin, and she awaits number 9. She's like, "Whoever this is, I wish you luck, because with Ariana Grace in the ring, and you entering this early on, you're gonna need a lot of it." Out comes the Empress of Tomorrow. Asuka makes her return. We haven't seen her since Armageddon, but she's back here tonight. She gets in the face of Ariana, who's nervously like, back away, or else I'll send you back out. We'll see, it will be another month before we see you again if you don't get out of my face. Asuka then spits the mist in the face of Ariana Grace, and she screams and panics, goes, "Oh, get out of my eyes, get out of my eyes," before she eliminates herself from the Royal Rumble. Asuka just laughs, and she turns around where Candice LeRae's there waiting. 2 members of the SmackDown 6, they go blow for blow. Asuka eventually takes Candice down with a roundhouse kick. She then takes down Sonya and Liv as well with those kicks. Kiana James then charges at her. Asuka, as she's running, lifts her up, hits that knee strike on the way down, and then eventually eliminates Kiana James from the match as well. She celebrates the elimination, continue to take the fight to Indy Hartwell. Everyone else recovers, and then entrant number 10 makes her way out to the ring. Shayna Baszler, alongside Carmella, makes her way out as number 10. Shayna immediately takes down Asuka, with stiff elbow strikes that Asuka sort of laughs off. And she then goes, Shayna that is, goes after Sol Ruca. And she tosses her over the top, but she lands on the apron. And so Sol's on the apron, Indy flies in with a big boot, which she boots her, and Sol sort of does fall backwards, but she hooks her feet around the bottom rope. And so she's still in the match, but she's just hanging there, from the bottom rope. Indy, is like, what the fuck's going on here? She starts to try and kick Sol's feet on the bottom rope as she's hooked around to try and, knock her off balance. But as she does, Sol Ruca just handstands on the outside. She can actually do this. This sounds impossible physically, but I've seen her do it in real life. So, yeah. So she's gone from having her feet hooked on the bottom rope, and then she puts her hands on the floor, does a handstand to sort of get away from Indy's attack. And she's just standing on the outside on her hands with her feet in the air. So she hasn't been eliminated, but obviously this has distracted Indy, so Shayna grabs Indy from behind, tosses her out of the match. And, Sol has hand-walked her way over to the barricade. She's got her feet over on the barricade now, scooting across on her hands, then handstanding off the barricade, using that as a catapult to land on the steel steps, and then re-entering the ring with a springboard to take down Shayna Baszler. The crowd's losing their mind, giving her a great round of applause, before entrant number 11 enters the match. It's Chase U's Thea Hale. She rushes into the match, number 11. Colton's in the crowd, he's going wild. She leaps straight onto Liv, starts delivering punches to Liv. Gets all fired up, does the Ultimate Warrior shake on the ropes. And then Shayna, sees that. She goes to grab her from behind and dump her out. But as she lifts Thea up, Thea wraps her legs around Shayna's neck, and she pulls Shayna over and to the floor. In a shocking elimination, Thea Hale eliminates Shayna Baszler, and she's losing her goddamn mind. She's like, holy shit, I'm the fucking best. She does a whole lap of the ring, knee sliding, holding up the Chase U sign, going, Chase U, Chase U. She points to the WrestleMania sign. She goes, yeah, I'm going to fucking WrestleMania. And she turns around. Sonya Deville just knees her in the face. And, she continues the attack on Thea. Everyone else sort of just fights. No eliminations. And then entrant number 12 comes in. Entrant number 12 is Aoi Maikawa from Ichiban. She's coming into the ring. She's going after Sonya Deville. She takes the fight right to her ECW, brand mate. But Sonya and her start exchanging strikes before Aoi wipes her out with that big, sick roundhouse kick. Aoi then goes face to face with Asuka, and the two Japanese stars start hitting each other with forearms. Liv then rushes in, hits a double drop kick, taking both women down. And then she starts getting into it with Sol Ruca. And Liv takes Sol Ruca back out onto the apron. She goes to swipe at Sol's legs, but Sol jumps over Liv's arm as she goes to swipe her legs. And Liv just laughs and okay, yeah, I get it, I see. But then Candice LeRae come out of nowhere. She hits a drop kick, drop kicking Sol Ruca off the apron and to the floor, so she's finally been eliminated. And Sonya, she takes this distraction. She jumps on Candice, starts stomping on her in the corner, and then starts laying shots in on Liv Morgan as the countdown begins for entrant number 13. Out comes Liv's tag team partner Hikaru Shida, number 13. She enters in, she immediately slides in with that knee strike on Sonya Deville. Shida then helps her partner Liv Morgan to her feet, and her and Liv work together to eliminate Sonya Deville from the match. Shida and Liv celebrate getting the elimination, high fives and hugs all around, but then Shida grabs Liv from behind and tosses Liv over the top, eliminating Liv Morgan. Liv, can't believe this. She feels betrayed, but she looks shocked, and she's just you're hurt, the longer you go in this match, it's going to deal more damage to your knee, so, I better get you out now. And, Shida, trying to explain all this to Liv, has her distracted, and she turns around, Asuka kicks her in the head, and Shida is also dumped out. And they're on the outside, the same side of the ring, and they just start arguing. Liv's like, what the fuck? And she goes, look, I'm doing it to help you, I'm sorry. Then eventually, buzzer sounds, out comes entrant number 14. Crowd erupts. Former Raw general manager Eve Torres makes her return to the ring. You know, even when she was GM, she never wrestled, so this is her first match in fucking years. She enters the match, she hits big clotheslines, taking down Thea Hale, Candice, and Alwie. She then gets the crowd going, hits a standing moonsault on, Thea and Candice are both on the floor next to each other. She hits a standing moonsault on both of them. And Eve, she's taking in the crowd's reaction, they're going, you still got it, all that shit. And then, Eve stands tall as number 15 makes her way out.
All hail the queen.
The mood changes as the queen struts her way out to the ring. And she sort of looks at Eve and thinks oh my god, it's Eve. And then they finally go face to face in the ring. Their issues date back, back when Eve was the GM 2.5 years ago. Her and Charlotte were at loggerheads a lot. And they never actually had a match. So this is their first time meeting in the middle of the ring. Eve finally gets to slap Charlotte, She couldn't put her hands on her as the GM. But now she's not the GM, she's just in this match. That gets a big pop. But then Charlotte then takes Eve out with a spear. And she's like, yeah, I've been waiting 3 years to do this, bitch. And then she tosses Eve out of the match, eliminating the former Raw GM to a chorus of boos. And then she turns around, and who's waiting for Charlotte but Asuka? The two women, they've got a whole lot of history. They go back and forth. First time in a good while. I can't exactly remember how long, but, it's been a while. And it ends with Charlotte taking Asuka down. Thea then jumps on Charlotte's back, but Charlotte tosses her off, spears her as well. And Charlotte stands tall as entrant number 16 is the one who comes out next. Tiffany Stratton is number 16, and she gets in the ring and she goes toe-to-toe with Charlotte. Her and Tiffany sort of have a stare down. The present Charlotte versus the future Charlotte. And then, as it looks like they're about to come to blows, they both turn around and boot Thea Hale at the same time. And then they work together to break Cohen's heart and eliminate Thea Hale from the bout. And they sort of look across at each other after they eliminate Thea, and sort of nod their heads huh, okay, yeah, I see. And then Tiffany points at Candice down the corner, okay, get her next. And then both Charlotte and Tiffany start stomping on Candice. Alwie then comes up and she attacks Tiffany, and her and Charlotte are broken apart for a bit. Tiffany's fighting Alwie, Charlotte's with Candice, and the fighting continues. No more eliminations until number 17 enters the match. The head of the Maximum Male Models, Tonya Breeze, enters at number 17. She's flanked by Brooks Jensen, Kate Wilson, and Elton Prince. She enters the ring and she's immediately goes up to Tiffany. She's like, oh my god, we're so similar. Me and you, why don't we team up? And Tiffany's like, yeah, go get Asuka. And Tonya sees Asuka staring. She charges at Asuka. Asuka kicks Tonya right in the head, tossing her over the top. But Tonya does land on the apron. Asuka then kicks Tiffany in the head. Tonya, I keep calling her Tiffany. She kicks Tonya in the head again, and then she falls off the apron, but into the waiting arms of Brooks Jensen, who's holding her now. And Brooks goes to put her back on the apron, but as he does, I imagine Asuka's following his movements, they're ready to knock her straight back off as soon as Brooks puts her back on. So in the end, he just keeps a hold of her, and Asuka gets shunned by Alwie, taking her focus away from Tonya. They fight, Candice fights off both Tiffany and Charlotte, and there's no more eliminations, and then number 18 makes her way out. Fallon Henley and Mickie James rush to the ring, and they stop at the bottom of the ramp, and Fallon sort of slowly just walks up to Tonya Breeze and Brooks Jensen. And Tonya's leave me alone. No, leave me alone. Fallon goes, okay, yeah, I'll leave you alone. And she sort of just gets up on the apron and goes to enter the ring, but she does quickly turn around, leaps off the apron into the pile of Maximum Male Models. All of them go tumbling to the floor, which does mean Tonya Breeze is then eliminated. Fallon, she gets up to her feet, she starts waving that towel around, does eventually enter the ring, takes the fight to Tiffany Stratton. They've had some issues in the past that date back a long while, actually. Charlotte then comes to the aid of Tiffany, fighting off Alan Henley. Alwie, Candice, and Asuka sort of just recover around the ringside. And entrant number 19 then comes out. Entrant number 19 is ECW's Blair Davenport, and she takes the fight to the woman who's obviously the easiest target at this point, that being Candice LeRae, for how long she's been in there. Blair fights with Candice, Fallon and Tiffany continue to fight, and Charlotte and Alwie continue their fight, but that does end with Charlotte dumping the Ichiban member from them out. So Alwie's eliminated at the hands of Charlotte Flair. Tiffany then sneaks up on Charlotte as she's distracted, and she attempts to dump her over the top rope, but Charlotte does skin the cat. And Charlotte gets back in the ring like, what the fuck are you doing, I thought we were working together. And she boots Tiffany in the face. So their temporary alliance, those egos couldn't coexist, and their temporary alliance is over. And then we've got no more eliminations before we then enter the halfway point of this match as number 20 makes her way out. Number 20 is Kairi Sane from Raw, and she immediately cuts Blair Davenport off with a spear as soon as she enters the match. She then goes up top to hit that insane elbow, but Tiffany charges at her, going to push her off. Kairi leaps over Tiffany as she comes rushing towards her, bounces off the ropes, hits her with a spear, and then also hits a spear on Candice LeRae and then one on Fallon Henley. She then goes face to face with Asuka, her former tag team partner. They exchange hard strikes for a bit, and they both collide, they both hit a double kick and knock each other out. Charlotte's then the only person on her feet. She continues to take the fight to Candice LeRae, but no eliminations take place, and then number 21 makes her way out.
It's Chelsea.
It's the self-proclaimed Queen of Extreme. It's Chelsea Green entering at number 21, and she introduces weapons into the fold. She pulls out a trash can lid, slides that into the ring, and then she, excitedly pulls out a table at ringside, and she sets that up before entering the ring. She immediately picks a fight with Fallon Henley, attempting to pick her up and immediately toss her through the table, but Fallon does fight away. Chelsea then picks up the trash can lid, but as she goes to hit it, or swing it, Candice drop kicks it, it hits her in the face, the recoil off the drop kick. And Chelsea hits herself in the face with the trash can lid. And then Kairi gains possession of the lid, and she starts spamming those spinning back fists while holding the trash can lid. One to Candice, one to Blair, one to Tiffany. And then Chelsea does duck it and eventually does take Kairi down. She picks the lid up. She's waving it around excitedly, standing tall as number 22 enters. Number 22 is the real Queen of Extreme. ECW's Francine enters the match at number 22. She pulls a kendo stick out from under the ring. And Chelsea's like, you're an old washed up has-been, huh? I'm the real Queen of Extreme. Pack it up, old woman. She swings the trash can lid at Francine, but she ducks and then wails into Chelsea with those kendo stick shots before quickly eliminating Chelsea Green from the match. Francine, she keeps a hold of the kendo stick. She wails on the other women left in the match. Holding it up high as the real Queen of Extreme is, cheered on by the Chicago crowd as number 23 makes her way out.
I'm on my own, against the wall. The pressure's building, but no, I will never fall. Instead of crying, they hear me roar. And now I see that.
It's the franchise player. This time it actually is Bianca Belair. She struts her way down to the ring looking for her second Royal Rumble victory. She gets in the ring, she's face to face with Francine. Francine goes to hit her with a kendo stick, but Bianca catches it, and then uses her braid to whip Francine instead. And then she eventually hoists Francine up and does dump her out of the ring. She dusts her hands off. She's like, yeah, that was easy work. And then turns around, guess who's waiting for her? Well, Candice is still here, of course, so it's her. And they exchange strikes. Bianca sort of hoists her up in position for a KOD, and then she sort of notices the table on the outside of the ring. She walks towards that side of the ring like she's going to KOD Candice out of the ring and through the table. But Candice as she does that, she pulls Bianca over the top rope, and they both sort of land on the apron. They exchange strikes on the apron. Shakara Jackson, she sort of reappears out of nowhere. She holds onto Candice's ankle, put her in position. But Candice just kicks her off, and then, she grabs onto Bianca, and the force of that, they both go flying off the side of the ring, crashing through the table, and both are eliminated from the Royal Rumble in a fucking spot that pops the crowd big, table break. But, that is two of the favourites of the match now eliminated, both Candice and Bianca. Their eliminations will be credited with each other. But then back in the ring, Charlotte and Asuka, they're going at it, two of the top women left in this before number 24 enters. The two-time Liberty Champion, Roxy Perez, she makes her way out of the ring and she sort of scoots past all the shared bits of table, at ringside. She enters the ring, taking the fight to Fallon Henley. She takes her down, Tiffany then wipes out Roxy with a clothesline. She takes in the boos after the crowd reaction, and then she turns around to a back fist from Kairi. Kairi then helps Roxy to her feet. They've been an alliance for the last couple of weeks. And then them two work together to eliminate Blair Davenport from the match. But then Charlotte and Tiffany spring back to life. Their alliance is back together. They both dump Kairi and Roxy over the top, but they both manage to hold on and not be eliminated. And there's no more eliminations in this section before number 25 does enter the fray. Number 25 is ECW's Kathy Cool of Next Gen, flanked by her stablemates. She takes the fight to Roxy Perez, who's obviously she deemed the easy target, especially now Candice LeRae's out. She lays her out with the Razzle Dazzle, and then attempts to eliminate her. Kairi pulls Roxy to safety as she does that, though. Kathy and Kairi then fight off. The other women all still going at it, just indescriptibly in the background. There's no more eliminations, and then number 26 makes her way to the ring. Another ECW woman, Lyra Valkyria of the Birds of Prey, enters the match as number 26. She climbs to the top, entering the match with a big crossbody on Tiffany Stratton, before immediately taking the fight to Charlotte, attempting to score an elimination on the Queen, but she does skin the cat and survive. Lyra takes the fight to Asuka. She's the new Iron Woman right now at this point. But she does fight back, taking Lyra down. Charlotte then gets back to her feet, and her and Asuka then face off as the countdown sounds, and they both look up for the ramp as number 27 makes her way out.
There's only one of me. Look it up, I'm written down in history. Take a look, you'll see I'm an anomaly.
For the first time in over 2 years, Nia Jax makes an appearance here in WWE. She marches to the ring. No, everyone in the ring sort of stops and awaits Nia's arrival. She gets into the ring, everyone sort of rushes towards her, all attempting to work together to eliminate her, but she does that big guy, power spot where she powers out and everybody goes flying around the ring. But then Roxy runs towards her, Nia slams her down, and she continues to take out everybody who runs at her, eventually grabbing Fallon Henley and tossing Fallon Henley out of the match. So Nia gets her first elimination before she's then jumped behind by Kathy Cool. She then wipes her out, picks her up for a gorilla press, and gorilla presses her into the waiting arms of the other Next Gen girls, and they all fall to the floor, so Kathy Cool is now also eliminated. And Nia, she takes in the boos from the Chicago crowd. They don't want to see her here, but then she turns around and Asuka and Charlotte are both there waiting for her. She laughs at them, she's like, both of you, come on, And then Charlotte and Asuka do work together to team up on Nia. But Nia is fresher than both women at this point, so she manages to take them both down. She hits a big leg drop on Charlotte, and continues to, be booed out of the fucking building here in Chicago as number 28 enters the match. Number 28 is Florence, and she storms her way down to the ring, and Nia, calls her on as she does, goes, come on bitch, you're next. And then her and Florence get in each other's faces, Then Florence hits Nia with a stiff forearm, which Nia, tanks. And she fires back with a forearm to Florence of her own, which Florence tanks. This continues, and then Florence, snaps. She starts hitting several stiff forearms to Nia, which does eventually stagger Nia back towards the ropes. And then she bounces off the ropes, after the final forearm, Nia. The force of the forearm. She bounces off the ropes back in towards Florence, who scoops her up for a power slam. Think Cesaro, Big Show, Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And then Florence single-handedly does eliminate Nia Jax from the match, to a crowd who loses their fucking mind, as one woman has dumped Nia Jax out of the ring. Florence then fires herself up, and she turns around. Tiffany Stratton goes to boot her. Florence dodges out of the way, and then a clothesline also does send Tiffany Stratton packing from the match in her first Royal Rumble. An impressive showing, though, from the SmackDown star. We then get a Florence and Lyra face-off. They've sort of been allied in recent weeks, or months, whatever. They've been an alliance, is what I'm trying to say. Kairi and Roxy, they stand opposite them, who are also sort of an alliance now. And then Charlotte and Asuka, they're the only other two left in the ring, so they're like, well, fuck it, We know each other well, we can work together. And then the three duos get into a big 6-woman brawl. But there is no eliminations, and then number 29 enters the ring. They made it to Chicago, and Mackie enters her 4th Royal Rumble match. She hits the ring after giving her performance, and she gets into a stare down with Kairi. Kairi sort of looks at her confused, pouting, as Mackie, pats her on the head. Kairi just chuckles. She goes to hit a back fist on Mackie, but Mackie ducks that, and she headbutts Kairi in return, which sends Kairi down to the floor. Mackie's getting all fired up, hitting that falling headbutt on Kairi as well. And she then joins the rest of the fight, taking it to Charlotte. The rest of the minute goes by, not really anything of note happens, and then number 30 makes her way out. Any other year, Cora Jade would have won the lottery, but we still have 10 more entrants to go. Cora enters the ring. She takes the fight to her fellow ECW roster member, Lyra Valkyria. She hits that double unhook DDT, planting her down. She then tries to eliminate Lyra, but she does manage to hang on. But then Cora, of course, turns around, and there waiting for her is Roxy Perez. Cora and Roxy go at it, reigniting their old rivalry. Roxy then drops Cora with that Pop Rocks, finally taking her off her feet for the first time, before she then gets into it with Florence, who then drops Roxy with a Rain Flow. Mackie and Charlotte continue fighting, and the rest of the women are sort of recovering. No more eliminations occur, and then the first ever women's entrant, number 31, makes her way out. It's the former women's tag team champion, Ivy Nile. She comes in, she takes the fight to Charlotte. Ivy picks up Charlotte and dumps her over the top rope, but Charlotte does land on the apron before fighting back. Lyra flies in with Charlotte on the apron, drop kicking Charlotte. She staggers around, but she does manage to hang on and re-enters the match, in one of those very close false eliminations. And the women continue to go at it, no more eliminations, and then number 32 makes her way out.
JC Jane.
The Paragon's JC Jane. She enters the match number 32 with a full head of steam, delivering big drop kicks to take down Lyra and Roxy and Cora, getting all fired up. She's then face to face with Ivy Nile. Ivy grabs JC's arm, locks her into an armbar, just to wear her down and welcome her to the ring, basically. It's not going to eliminate you, but she does need to be welcomed to the match and worn out. Ivy then, when she gets off, JC is jumped behind by Cora. She lays her out by that double unhook DDT as well, and she laughs in the face of Ivy Nile before Roxy pops up to her feet, grabs Cora and tries to eliminate her, but Cora does fight back, and Roxy and Cora are the only two left standing as number 33 enters. AJ Lee enters the match, and Marie Kelsey, they, sort of like accompany her to the ring but don't stay around ringside. AJ enters the match and she gets into a face-off with her two daughters who are still fighting. AJ mouths off to Roxy, giving it a bigger, like, you're not going to win this, you're a loser. Roxy then slaps AJ in the face. AJ then fights back. Her and Cora temporarily work together to both attack Roxy before eventually eliminating the former Liberty champion, Roxy Perez, eliminated at the hands of her rival Cora Jade and her disgraced former ally turned mentor, AJ Lee. Cora just laughs at Roxy, who's down on the floor on the outside, and she goes to hug AJ, goes, yeah, I've always loved you. But AJ quickly dumps Cora Jade out as well to a big pop. AJ Lee, for reasons you can infer yourself, surprisingly over here in Chicago. But she then turns around, Kyrie drops her with a spinning back fist, to avenge Roxy, who is her current friend / tag team partner. Kyrie then works over AJ in the corner. The other women continue fighting. During those fights, Asuka does manage to eliminate Lyra, and she celebrates it. No more eliminations occur. And then number 34 enters the match. Shantae Washington enters her very first Royal Rumble. She rushes to the ring. She immediately pounces the hell out of Jacy Jane before then taking down Ivy Nile with a running crossbody. And Shantae, she's all fired up. She unstraps her singlet, and then she turns around and Mackie's there. She gets in her face. Mackie just flips off Shantae, and Shantae's like, oh, adorable. Pats Mackie on the head. And Charlotte just gets to her feet in the background, looks across at both. It's like, what the hell's going on here? She shoves Mackie away before Shantae and Mackie do work together to take Charlotte down before eventually dancing together and celebrating because they are both happy-go-lucky, nice, wholesome baby faces. Florence and Asuka then jump them both because they're very much not that. But there are no eliminations, and then number 35 enters the match. Ivy Nile's backup is now on the way. Her partner Tatum Paxley enters at number 35. She does have an eye patch on, so, who knows how that may affect her performance, but she was blinded by fire by Alba Fire and Iona Webb recently. But she immediately enters the match, pulls Jacy Jane off Ivy Nile, and the two tag team champions work together to eliminate Jacy Jane from the match. Tatum Paxley then turns around and is face-to-face with Florence. They have a mother off, which ends with Florence taking Pax down. Ivy attempts to fight back on Florence, but Florence also takes her down. And then the fights continue going on. Florence is the one who stands tall, as number 36 makes her way out.
Bow down to the queens.
The very first Queendom member to enter the match is Dakota Kai. She rushes to the ring, immediately taking Florence down with a big boot or something. She then continues to just rain punches down on Florence down on the floor, attempting to immediately dump her out, but Florence does manage to hold on. But she holds onto the apron, and Dakota's there kicking at her, going, fucking fall off. But Florence does fight back and manages to re-enter the ring. But as she does, Dakota drops her with a scorpion kick. And then Shantae Washington is the one who gets in Dakota Kai's face, which does end with Dakota Kai eliminating Shantae from the match. Dakota turns around, and who's waiting for her? Asuka. The history these two have needs no introduction, of course. Remember WrestleMania last year? The reason Asuka is the way she is right now is because of Dakota Kai. They exchange strikes, then they both take each other down at the end. The fighting just continues. Mackie, she ends up being the last woman standing. She's the only one on her feet as entrant number 37 makes her way out. Ruby Riott enters at number 37, and she's a ball of energy on her way out, dancing her way down to the ring going, yeah, Royal Rumble, baby, let's go. She enters the ring, and Mackie's there waiting for her. Ruby smiles as Mackie, charges towards her. She's like, stop. And then she's like, sing. And Mackie, of course, taking any opportunity to sing, would sing along. And Ruby would sing along with Mackie. Like, as the song finishes, you see Ruby behind her clapping and smiling. That changes to, an evil expression. And she jumps Mackie from behind, laying the fuck into her with, like, forearms to the back of the head, before Ruby Riott does eventually dump Mackie out of the match. She then immediately just pounces on anyone who's near her. AJ, Ivy, Florence, Kyrie, before she then decides to focus on Asuka. Her and Asuka fight in the corner, which allows, everyone else to sort of get to their feet and recover, as entrant number 38 enters the match.
Welcome to the ball pit. You can get your ass kicked off the top backflip. Hit you with an axe grip. Who's your dang? Tell me now. Biggest balls up in the room. When I slam you on the ground.
Entering on her tank is Shotzi Blackheart at 38. She rushes to the ring, climbs to the top rope, enters the match by hitting that big senton on a downed AJ Lee. And she gets up, or she's all fired up. Her and Charlotte get into a fight. Shotzi takes her down with a DDT. Florence then wipes her out before, Dakota Kai wipes Florence out of a big boot. Dakota turns around, Ivy Niles there, and her and Ivy get into a fight, but, Tatum Paxley is still in the match, so she comes to the aid of Ivy Nile, and they continue their fight 2-on-1, no eliminations, and then the penultimate entrant makes her way out to the ring.
Bow down to the queens.
Dakota's backup is here in the form of Utami Hayashishita. They've been butting heads a lot recently, but they've just about managed to get back on the same page. And Utami does enter the ring, and immediately Dakota rushes over and is like, hey, get them. Like, pointing at, like, Florence and Asuka. And, like, as they're scheming a new plan, Tatum and Ivy jump them. Ivy jumps Utami and Tatum jumps Dakota. The Queendom girls do, like, fight back in the end, with Utami eliminating Ivy and Dakota eliminating Tatum, like, basically at the same time. They then, watch as Asuka gets to her feet. Asuka screams at them both. She tries to fight them both 2-on-1, but she is eventually picked apart by Utami and Dakota. Utami backs her up into the corner, allowing Dakota Kai to charge in with that big boot. Like, 3 of them, booting her in the head in the corner 3 times. Dakota then gets Asuka up on her shoulders, which allows Utami to bounce off the ropes, hits that running knee strike, and finally Asuka is eliminated at the hands of Queendom. Dakota and Utami then sort of realise that they're in control here. So Dakota, being, the deputy, starts ordering traffic, and she's like, get to Florence next, get to Florence. Dakota's really focused on Florence for some reason. They go to pick her up, but Kyrie fights back, and Kyrie takes down Dakota Kai with that back fist. Florence clotheslines Utami, so the 2 Queendom girls are finally off their feet. Charlotte then springs to life. She boots Kyrie, she boots Florence, she boots everybody, so she's the only one standing tall in the middle of the ring, arms out wide, as entrant number 40, the final entrant in the Rumble, makes her way out.
Bow down to the queens.
Yes, y'all. So fresh, y'all. Snoop Dogg with Sasha Banks with a bet, y'all. Make way for the new, what it do. And if you went away, let me say she coming.
The first women's number 40 is Sasha Banks, the boss. Fresh off her shocking betrayal of Bayley on Raw, she swaggers her way down to the ring, immediately getting into the face of her, old foe Charlotte. She takes her down with a Hurricane Rana before she's immediately jumped by Shotzi. But Sasha does fight back, hitting a backstabber before eventually eliminating Shotzi from the match. We then get a quick snippet of Sasha and AJ fighting, because I'm not sure if I've ever actually booked that. Someone will know better than I do, because you guys keep track of the lore in the save better than I do. But that seems like a fun match, and if I haven't booked it, here's your chance to see it. AJ does take Sasha down, before she then gets into a fight with Ruby Riott. Ruby Riott throws AJ Lee over the top, but AJ, she hangs onto the top rope, skinning the cat. But Ruby attempts to slap AJ's hands to knock her off, but she hangs on. Ruby eventually does start biting AJ's fingers, and she screams in pain, she's like, ah! And then eventually she has to let go and drops to the floor, with Ruby Riott eliminating AJ. Ruby laughs before immediately turning her attention to Kyrie, attacking her in the corner, biting her ear, because she's found an effective new strategy, apparently. But Florence does pull Ruby off Kyrie, hits her with that big rain flow before she is eventually eliminated by the former Miss Money in the Bank. But, like, as Ruby's tossed over the top, she lands flat on her feet on the outside and just starts bursting into a laughter fit and then walks out through the crowd, which is very odd of her. But we have 6 women left in the ring. Charlotte, Kairi, Florence, Dakota, Utami, and Sasha. One of these women will be heading to WrestleMania in Philly to get a title match of their choice. Dakota and Utami are stood together, with Charlotte eventually, working her way over to that side because Queens got to stick together. So they oppose Florence, Kairi, and Sasha. And so Sasha's standing opposite Charlotte, Kairi opposite Utami, and Florence opposite Dakota. And then they all rush together for a big 6-woman brawl to a big pop. Kairi does take down Utami. She goes up top to hit an insane elbow. But as she does, Charlotte flies in with a big boot. Boots her off the top. Kairi sort of falls to the apron, but she can't grip onto the ropes and does fall off the apron to the floor. So Charlotte does eliminate Kairi. Charlotte, she takes in her victory. She's like, yeah, bitch, I'm the fucking queen, woo. But she turns around and Sasha Banks Hurricane Rana's Charlotte out of the match. And that gets a big pop, even though Sasha Banks is a bit of a bitch right now. But, eliminating Charlotte is always fun. Charlotte, she looks into the ring pissed. And Sasha, mocks crying at her. It's like, bye, bitch. And then Charlotte does leave, but Sasha slowly turns back around. And the other 3 women have all stood there. Florence, Dakota, and Utami. We have our final 4. Sasha immediately, walks over to Florence. He's like, those 2 are working together. We better work together to get rid of them. Okay. And Florence is like, well, didn't you just betray your last partner? So why do I want to work with you? But then she does realise, of course, it is the smart option to work with Sasha. They do manage to ground Dakota and Utami, but Sasha Banks, being a bitch and a little sneaky snake, does hit that backstabber on Florence. She grabs her from behind and goes to toss her over, but she does manage to hang on. Florence and Sasha are both on the apron. They're fighting on the apron. One of them, we're thinking is going to be eliminated here. But then the 2 Queendom girls rush in out of nowhere. They both hit big boots. Utami's boot sends Sasha Banks flying to the floor, but Florence manages to survive Dakota Kai's boot. Utami and Dakota both swarm Florence as she tries to slide back in the ring, trying their hardest to get her out of the match. But Florence does pull herself to her feet, in the corner, using the ropes, glaring across at Utami and Dakota, who are staring her down from the other side of the ring, stalking their wounded prey. Dakota then is like, go get her. And Utami starts to walk towards Florence. But Dakota grabs Utami from behind and quickly dumps her out of the ring to a big pop. Utami's on the outside looking up in shock. Like, what the fuck? My own stablemate, my own Queendom stablemate has eliminated me from the Royal Rumble. Which, seemingly threw away a guaranteed plan. If Queendom were to eliminate Florence, one of them would win the Rumble. But Dakota's just thrown that all away. But she's not even acknowledging Utami on the outside. The second she dumped Utami out, she's just focused on Florence in the corner, going, come on, get up. She charges at Florence with a running boot, but Florence pulls down the top rope. Dakota then goes tumbling over the top rope to the apron. Florence tries to knock her off the apron, but Dakota does fight back, and she pulls Florence onto the apron again. So both women are now on the apron. They stare each other down, exchanging in stiff strikes. Florence hits a clothesline on Dakota, which sends her flying back over the ropes back into the ring. But that gets Florence all fired up. She gets back into the ring herself. She turns Dakota Kai inside out with a big rain flow, and then finally eliminates her, crowning Florence the winner of the 2024 Women's Royal Rumble match, and earning her a championship match at WrestleMania. What the fuck happened here? Okay, Utami got a chronic knee pain during the match, and that made the entire Rumble a 69. Sure. I genuinely think this game is bad, right? Because the injury fucking mechanic in this game is so fucked. And, clip this and send it to fucking Adam Ryland if you want. Because I'm pretty sure he started working on this game now, so nothing will come of it. But every single time I get the note, it's like, oh, this match got disrupted by injury. It's always something fucking stupid, like, oh, she hurt her knee a little bit, or, he bruised his hand, or some shit like that in reality would not disrupt the match at all. But yet when fucking Io got concussed, you know, for Major League Concussion, they didn't change the finish, they didn't hamper the match, she just fucking won the match. And like, so I think that if they're gonna do this thing where it's like, oh, you know, there's an injury involved, and it really ruined the match because of it, like, take into account what the injury fucking is, because, and also, like, stop the match occasionally, like, you know, like they do now. If someone's getting majorly concussed, you know, just say, oh, the match didn't finish because someone got their fucking bell rock. Don't have them continue on. Okay. But, or in a rumble like this, just toss her out, you know? Like, Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. But yeah, the rumble gets a 69. Florence won. This has pissed me the fuck off. I don't even care anymore, but I've got to go through it all. Charlotte got the most eliminations. I believe she was tied with either Florence or Candice. I can't remember which one. But I gave it to Charlotte. And then Asuka was the Iron Woman. It might have been Asuka, actually. I think Charlotte and Asuka got the most eliminations. And then I gave Asuka the Iron Woman because she was the Iron Woman. And then Charlotte got most eliminations because I didn't want to give both to Asuka. And the final four were Sasha, Utami, Dakota, and Florence. The match was shit. But there she is anyway. Don't let the shit Royal Rumble distract you from the fact that Florence, she gets a shot at vengeance at WrestleMania. But just who will she get her shot at vengeance at? Hype video. Title versus career for Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch. You know, she's dominated everybody, including Becky, like 3 times. In the Rumble. No, not in the Rumble. In the Iron Woman match at WrestleMania 38 and at SummerSlam last year. So it's do or die tonight, quite literally. Well, not literally, she's not going to be killed if she loses, but, you know, effectively in WWE. Do or die tonight. 81, because of course I knew this was going to be bad, because I know that even though I scripted this match, they're going to have no chemistry, because they didn't have no chemistry in the April Fool's video I did, where the match went 1 minute. But, you know, they're running back their greatest hits. It's Rhea and Becky, they're doing their thing. You know, Riptide. Becky would, Rhea would hit a Riptide, Becky would kick out. Becky would hit the manhandle slam, Rhea would kick out. Disarmer, countered, Rhea breaks out, and they just can't put each other down. They hit each other with their best shot. But there is one more shot that Rhea Ripley can do. And that is, you know, back at WrestleMania 38, when she beat Becky for the Women's Championship. She held her Riptide off the top rope. You know, Becky went for a manhandle slam, Rhea countered it into a Riptide and won the belt. So, you know, eventually Becky and Rhea, they are both up top. And Rhea gets that same thought in her head. She goes for that Riptide off the top once again. Becky again fights it out though. And she hits the manhandle slam from up there. And an inverse of WrestleMania 38. Becky does get the pin to win the WWE Women's Championship. 97 for Rhea Ripley, 88 for Becky. Long live another day of the man. We'll see how long this one lasts. Because, you know, she's always... Actually, no, speaking of, the game is trying to take her away again on TV filming duty. And I've just told the game to fuck off this time. Because, like, I literally had her back for one show. So I've just, you know, this is getting fucking ridiculous now. Like, I've already lost Warden. Warden misses WrestleMania because of it. You know, Buster's gone for 6 months. Fuck off. Like, chill. Hype video. Bloodline Civil War. Roman and Solo against the Usos. You know, the Usos, again, this could be the last time we see them. Their career is effectively on the line here. Heyman said he's going to get them scrubbed out of history if they lose here tonight. But of course, who will it be? Will it be the Tribal Chief and Solo? Or will it be the Usos? 86. Okay, that's pretty fine. And yeah, we effectively get the exact Money in the Bank match. Complete with Jey Uso scoring the pin over Roman Reigns. and the Usos are reinstated. They win the war. They get their jobs back, and main event Jey Uso has pinned the ECW champion. 82 for Solo, 95 for Roman, 84 for Jimmy, and an 88 for Jay. And yeah, big win for the Usos, who, celebrate with the crowd, bobbing up and down as they do with the crowd after a milestone victory here tonight. And that's this segment here. Yeah, I forgot. I said it all there because I didn't remember if I put a segment in, but I did. But that's not it. We have our penultimate match of the evening. Tegan Nox, won a Battle Royal, the SmackDown After Armageddon, to win a title shot. And she's cashed it in tonight. She's left Queendom. And she's going to try and take the championship from her former mentor, Io Sky. Dakota Kai and Utami not allowed at ringside. The only people at ringside for this will be Cammy and Piper Niven. Match gets a 90. Okay. 84 for Tegan Nox, 97 for Io. And yeah. This is very heated. I'm glad this did good because, it's very, very heated. I imagine they just stare down as the crowd goes wild. The crowd's cheering for Tegan during the whole match. Tegan did score a pinfall victory over Io on SmackDown 2 weeks ago, so she's hitting all her best. She's hitting up with her best shots. She's hitting those sentons, those Canadian destroyers and all sorts, big dives, but nothing she can do can seem to put Io down. And Tegan then gets back into the corner. She nails Io with that shiniest wizard, and she gets the 1, 2, and then Io kicks out 2 in a near fall. But this gets Tegan all fired up. She's getting ready to hit another one. Surely another shining wizard will put Io down. She charges at Io, but Io pulls the referee in her way, and the referee eats the shiny wizard instead. This whole time, Piper Niven, she just stood around, waving the flag, not really doing anything of note. But her presence is there. And she gets all fired up when she sees Deer on the floor. And Cammy, you see her at ringside, she's shouting at Piper. And Piper Niven, she's not moving. And, Io gets up, she looks out at Piper at ringside. She goes, come on, get your ass in here. And then Tegan goes to roll Io up. Io rolls through, hits that drop kick. And then Io goes up top and she hits the moonsault. And then who rushes out? Because we've got no referee, of course. Who rushes out to count the pin? Why, but it's Mio Shirai. The same crooked referee, the sister of Io who cost Dakota Kai that match back at No Mercy. She slides into the ring, fast counts, 1, 2, and she's pulled out of the ring to a huge pop by Piper Niven. And Cammy's like, what the fuck are you doing? What's this? Like, come on, the Genius of the Sky had her one. What are you doing? And she goes, no, not this way. And then Io even gets up. And she, leans out of the ring to shout at Piper. And Piper, she's arguing with Cammy, but she accidentally backhands, hits Io in the face, and then she turns around and gets hit with a shining wizard by Tegan Nox. The original referee crawls back to his feet, enters the ring, cover, 1, 2, and Io kicks out. So close. And then, Tegan, she's getting all conflicted. She sees, Cammy shouting at Piper at ringside. She goes to help Piper Niven at ringside. The referee's, distracted by this. And Io turns around. She rams Tegan's head into an exposed turnbuckle. She falls to the floor. Moonsault. 1, 2, 3. I had to get it in there, I wanted that one fucking sick-ass false finish where you thought it was over. But it wasn't. Io retains in a 90 rated match. 97 for Io Sky, 84 for Tegan Nox. After the match, though, is where we get interesting, because, Cammy and Piper do get back in the ring. And Cammy, she's hugging Io. Piper's there behind her, waving the flag. And Tegan's, she's getting to her feet. She's looking down, up against the ropes, looking across in disgust, Piper, what are you doing? I saw you clearly wanted to help me, I saw the good in you. You don't have to be resorted to this, You're better than that. And Piper sort of just glares across at Tegan. And then Io jumps Tegan, knocks again, starts attacking her. And she holds Tegan up. And she goes, hit her. Hit her. And Piper, she's conflicted. She doesn't want to hit her best friend. Tegan sort of looking at her like pleading, going, come on, do what's right. And then Piper Niven, she does, drop the flag on the floor. And she rushes in for a big crossbody and wipes out Io. To another big pop. Cammy, she's in shock. She goes, what the fuck's happening here? Why? She runs across, she hits another one of those running splashes on Io Sky. She helps her best friend to her feet and they hug to a big pop from Chicago. And then, as they go to leave, they see Io's tag team championship laying down on the floor. And they sort of just look down at it. And then, walk out. As Cammy, has to console Io. Been an awful night for Queendom tonight. First of all, neither of them won the Royal Rumble. And now Piper Niven has seemingly, joined Tegan Nox in rebelling against the group. But now is the moment you've all been waiting for. 40 men. One winner. Who is going to WrestleMania 40? Chicago crowd boos as Dirty Dom of LA Extreme is entrant number 1 in the Royal Rumble. I mean, it's obviously nice to see him enter this early because, there's 39 other people. It's going to be pretty fucking hard for him to go all the way. But, he is acting like a cocky little shit, sticking his tongue out to the crowd as they boo him as he just sits there and waits. Entrant number 2. Jane by Jefferson Starship plays, which we've never heard on WWE television before, and out wanders Orange Cassidy, making his first WWE appearance ever. Dom looks confused as Orange sort of just rolls into the ring, and he stands across him, sunglasses on, hands in his pockets, and thumbs up, maybe even. The bell does ring, and Dom just sneers at Orange Cassidy. And then he goes to walk towards him and hit him with his fist up. But Orange stops him. And he hits them shin kicks. Hopefully Chicago knows to play along. And Dominic looks at him. He continues to just sneer. And he shoves Orange Cassidy back, which knocks his sunglasses off. He goes to close on Orange Cassidy, but Orange rolls underneath the clothesline attempt. He hits that drop kick with his hands in his pockets. And that sends Dominic over the top and to the outside to a huge pop. Orange Cassidy's eliminated Dominic Mysterio within a minute of this Royal Rumble. Dominic's outside, he's throwing a hissy fit, slapping the apron and the barricade. And Orange is just there, lazily leaning up against the ropes, waiting for entrant number 3 to make his way out. One half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champion, Sami Zayn, he enters the match at number 3, and he sort of jogs his way down, reaches ringside and like it looks confused, but also a bit intrigued by the presence of Orange Cassidy, who is still just leaning up against the ropes. Sami enters. He takes the shin kicks before he and Orange actually start wrestling. Sami allows him to showcase all his moves, like the pockets arm drag and all that shit, the DDT with his hands in his pockets and all that shit, because Sami is like the person you'd want in there to make those comedy spots look good. But neither man does get eliminated before entrant number 4 makes his way out. Another champion from the SmackDown brand, United States Champion Pistolero, enters at number 4. He enters with a big springboard crossbody, taking both men down. He then attempts to eliminate Sami Zayn, but Sami does manage to hold on. He joins the fight, all 3 men start fighting. No eliminations occur before entrant number 5 makes his way out. An unfortunate number for Xavier Woods of the New Day, who's hoping to have his own WrestleMania moment and finally break out as a single star in 2024. He rushes to the ring, he takes the fight to everybody, dropping Pistolero with a Shining Wizard. He then attempts to eliminate Orange Cassidy, but Orange does hang on. He fights his way back in. Sami and Pistolero also going at it on the other side of the ring. No eliminations take place. Then out comes entrant number 6.
You know it's all about the
The leader of the Paragon makes his way out. He takes the fight to Xavier Woods as soon as he gets into the ring. And Pistolero comes flying at him with some sort of springboard move. Cole plucks him out of the air with a super kick. And he also drops Sami Zayn with one of those. With everybody else down, he hits that Adam Cole, baby. And he remains on top. No eliminations, again, as entrant number 7 makes his way out. The arrogant Aussie swaggers his way out for entrant number 7 in his very first Royal Rumble match. He's confident he's got this in the bag, despite the early entrant number. He immediately goes after Pistolero, for taking out his best mate, Dirty Dom, as he'd say. He leaps into the ring and hits that stunner. That's his entrant into the match, is hitting that on Pistolero. He takes the fight to Sami, attempts to eliminate Sami, but comes up short. But he does start taunting the crowd like, "Aye, lad, it's mine. Royal Rumble's in the bag, lad." He remains on top. And then number 8 makes his way out. The other half of the SmackDown Tag Team Champions makes his way out to the ring. He immediately goes after Grayson Waller. Waller tries to fight back from Kevin Owens' attack, but Kev then drops him with a stunner before Sami Zayn gets to his feet, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn work together to shut up Grayson Waller and eliminate him from the Royal Rumble. They then turn around, and Adam Cole is there waiting for them, and that's flashbacks, to last year's WrestleMania, where Adam Cole and Bobby Roode of the Paragon face Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Adam Cole, he tries to take down Kevin Owens, but Sami's there to help fight him off. They both attempt to work together to eliminate Adam Cole, but he does skin the cat and fight his way back in. No more eliminations take place, and number 9 makes his way out. Former World Heavyweight Champion Carmelo Hayes, he enters at number 9, and he goes right to work on Kevin Owens, who was a former rival of his back when he was the World Heavyweight Champion. Melo and Adam Cole work together to take the Tag Team Champions down because, they need to work together to take the Tag Team Champions down. But they do eventually then end up fighting because these are 2 egomaniacs and they can't really work together without wanting to fight each other. Carmelo does get on top though. He takes down Adam Cole. He then faces off with Orange Cassidy, and Orange Cassidy gets the upper hand. He hits him with Beach Break, taking Carmelo Hayes down. And then we get no eliminations, and number 10 makes his way out. Crowd goes wild, whoop that trick, as Carmelo Hayes, his tag team partner and friend, who he left over on SmackDown, Trick Williams, enters the match. He's a full head of steam. He rushes in, he immediately hits that big leaping kick on Orange Cassidy to take him down. He then helps Carmelo Hayes to his feet, and Trick Mello Gang, they work together one more time. They fight the tag team champions. Pistolero then flies in out of nowhere. He hits a tornado DDT on Trick Williams. A springboard one. But Hayes, he drops Pistolero with a super kick before him and Trick then get up and work together to eliminate the United States champion. So Pistolero is gone at the hands of Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes. Trick and Mello then celebrate together, after eliminating the US champion. And, they're hugging and they're high-fiving. But Carmelo Hayes then goes low on Trick Williams, to a huge chorus of boos and shocked fans. Mello starts mouthing off. He goes, "You're nothing without me, Trick. You're in over your head. Thinking you can do this without me. Enjoy obscurity." And then Carmelo Hayes tragically eliminates Trick Williams from the match. The crowd boos the fuck out of this. Carmelo Hayes, he taunts her, like, "Hey, shut your ass, I'm better than him." And Trick's like there waiting, trying to get back in the ring and to get back at Carmelo Hayes, but Carmelo Hayes goes, "Hey, get to the back, Trick, you loser." But as Hayes is leaning over the top rope to wave goodbye to Trick, Kevin Owens sneaks up behind him, dumps him out of the match as well. And then Tricky, seeing that Carmelo Hayes is now out of the ring, he immediately jumps on Mello, and they brawl, with security breaking the two apart, taking them to opposite ends and away, as entrant number 11 makes his way out. Entrant number 11 is Christian. Christian swaggers his way down to the ring with that smirk on his face, just taking in the scene between Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams that we just saw. Tensions boiling over between two best friends. Christian does reach the bottom of the ramp, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are in the ring going, come on. But Christian, he decides a better use of his time is to hide under the ring, because that's always a smart strategy in a Royal Rumble. So he crawls under the ring, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn go and collect him, but Adam Cole does fight them off, taking both men down, which does also, by proxy, allow Christian to get away with his hiding. Then see Orange Cassidy and Xavier Woods, who are in the middle of the ring together. He delivers the shin kicks to Xavier Woods, and Woods would either, I don't know which one I prefer, he would either give them back to Orange Cassidy, or the one I'm leaning towards is he'd scream in pain and he'd sell the fuck out of them. And that one sounds funnier, so I'll do that. But they fight, no eliminations take place, and then number 12 enters the match. Yet another champion enters the match. This time it's ECW's television champion ZSJ. He immediately goes to work on all orange bollocks over there, Orange Cassidy, and starts working over his leg in ZSJ style. He does the same thing to Xavier Woods, neutralizing both men before he gets into a face-off with Adam Cole. They have a stare down as these two 6-foot-tall men stand face to chest before exchanging in a quick fight, which ends with ZSJ ending up on top, before Sami Zayn drops him with a blue thunder bomb, and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn quickly regroup, waiting for entrant number 13. At unlucky number 13, the god himself, Kyle O'Reilly, makes his way down to the ring. He enters the ring immediately facing off with Adam Cole, his former UE Undisputed Era stablemate, and the man he failed to once again overcome on ECW last month because Roddy got involved. They get back into another fight, which does see Kyle O'Reilly drop Adam Cole with a brainbuster. God and Satan facing off. God and the devil. Whoever made that reference, top tier. I can't remember who commented it though. But he does then turn around, he being Kyle O'Reilly, to be face to face with ZSJ. And the two of them have something of a small little technical wrestling battle in the middle of the Royal Rumble. Because, that sounds like a fun spot. In the end, though, nobody's eliminated, and nothing really too much happens before number 14 makes his way out. Prince Pretty, Tyler Breeze makes his way to the ring, and he's ready to bring his rather unhinged brand of offense to the match. He immediately goes to work on Orange Cassidy, taking him down the corner, before he turns around and Xavier Woods is there. And, just seeing Xavier Woods, it's like showing red to a bull. Seeing Xavier Woods triggers Tyler Breeze, he lunges straight at Woods, starts nailing him with strong strikes, similar to those of Ruby Riott, actually. But he then takes down Woods, he picks him up, he attempts to eliminate him, but Woods does cling onto the top rope. Breeze then starts clawing at Woods' back to try and knock him off, but he still manages to fight his way back in before Kevin Owens ends up fighting Tyler Breeze, dropping him before number 15 makes his way out. SmackDown's Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov, is number 15. He storms in with a head full of steam. He's got a torpedo Moscow. He's the guy who comes in and hits his finisher on everybody. One with Tyler Breeze's name on it, then one for Kyle O'Reilly, who would sell it like he's been shot by a cannon. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn watch on in awe as Ilya does his thing. And then they're like, well, this guy's a threat, let's get him out. Kevin and Sami then try to work together to fight and eliminate Ilya, but he does fight them both off. And he tosses Sami Zayn over the top, but Sami lands on the apron. He then charges at Kevin Owens for a torpedo Moscow, but Kevin's sidesteps out of the way, but instead Ilya collides with Sami, which knocks Sami off the apron, eliminating him. And then Kevin Owens attempts to sneak up on Ilya, dumping him out, but Ilya does eliminate Kevin Owens, who very quickly eliminates both tag team champions from the match. He then rests, as the tag team champions of Ruca on the outside, well, fuck, okay, he got us. ZSJ is next up to take on Ilya Dragunov, but Ilya Dragunov takes him down as well, but he then goes for an H-bomb on the floor on ZSJ, but he counters that into an armbar, because ZSJ could do that, and Ilya Dragunov could do that. And the rest of the competitors sort of just rest, fighting in the background with no eliminations, and then number 16 makes his way out. Yet another champion. This time it's the Intercontinental Champion Dijak. Dijak enters and he takes Ilya's head off with a big boot. He also goes to work on Kyle O'Reilly. He hits him with Feast or Rise. He then goes to eliminate Kyle, but Kyle O'Reilly lands on the apron. But he lands on the apron and he then tries to fight his way back into the ring before he feels something grab at his legs. And we look down, we see, of course, it's Christian who's crawled out from under the ring. He yanks the God off the apron to the floor, and Christian has just eliminated God himself. He then slides into the ring, he hugs Dijak, and then they both turn around and Orange Cassidy's there. Orange Cassidy, he walks up to, hands in his pockets, he walks up to Dijak, and he goes to do the shin kicks, but Dijak just clotheslines him, before Christian and Dijak do pick up Orange, and eliminate him, ending his impressive debut. Hopefully to a chorus of boos, because hopefully he's over from day one, from just how he's been booked tonight. And then Christian gives Dijak a big hug. He kisses him on the cheek and he goes, yeah, come on, we've got this. The countdown for number 17 starts. And then Christian and Dijak going, come on, whoever this is, we're going to get him.
It's all about family. It's all about the business.
Out comes the Don of SmackDown, Tony D'Angelo at number 17. He's entering his very first Royal Rumble. He storms to the ring, and he sort of pauses as he gets there in front of Dijak. He gets in Dijak's face, and he sort of just turns to the crowd, shrugs, and then smacks Dijak in the face. And then Dijak, he no-sells it, and immediately, jolts his head round, doing that trademark Dijak sneer. Dijak and Tony D begin exchanging strikes, and then we actually see Tony D'Angelo lift Dijak up for a suplex. But just as he gets Dijak off his feet, Christian low blows him, meaning Tony D'Angelo does drop Dijak on the floor, and then they recoup and both work together to eliminate the Don. Christian, he's immediately like, hey, go get Ilya Dragunov. Dijak starts to attack Ilya. He picks Ilya up, but Ilya, of course, does fight back. He delivers stiff forearms to the Intercontinental Champion. But his fight back is cut short by yet another Christian low blow. And Christian then drops Ilya Dragunov with a kill switch. And then their offense on Ilya is cut short by the sound of the countdown. And they then turn to face the ramp. They're like, okay, we'll dump this guy out as well. It'll be easy.
You think you know me?
On this day, I see clearly everything is come to life.
The crowd erupts as Edge enters at number 18 to the dismay of Christian and Dijak. He immediately rushes into the ring. He ducks an incoming Dijak big boot and charges into Christian with a spear after he ducks the boot. He then bounces off the ropes, hits Dijak with a big spear. Edge gets all fired up. Dijak uses the ropes to get to his feet, but then Edge charges at Dijak with a huge clothesline, eliminating the Intercontinental Champion to a huge ovation. Before Christian then gets to his feet, he looks on in horror as his right hand of justice has been eliminated. Edge slowly turns to Christian, who sort of drops to his knees, go, no, please, I'm sorry. And he gets to his feet and he's like, come on, bring it in, Adam, bring it in. He goes to hug Edge. Edge sort of looks around at the crowd who are all going, no. And Edge is like, fuck it. And he does hug Christian. And Christian, we see the camera shot of his face as he hugs Edge. He's looking thrilled that Edge has just spared him. But Edge then does stick his leg low on Christian, which gets a huge pop. And then Edge does dump Christian out of the match to an even bigger pop. He gathers his thoughts, after getting rid of Christian and Dijak, but then the scene sort of sets in for Edge, This could be his last chance to become a world champion. His last chance to win another Royal Rumble. And as he turns around, all of the other guys, the younger guys, are standing on the other side of the ring to him. So it's him on one side and the younger guys are on the other side. Breeze is the first one to rush towards him. Edge cuts him off with a spear. He then calls on for another one of the younger guys. Xavier Jr. is the one who steps up. Then again, Edge and ZSJ face off, with ZSJ, using his technical prowess to neutralize the former world champion. Adam Cole and Xavier Woods face off in the background. Dragunov recovers. Entrant number 19 that makes his way out. From ECW, Cesaro enters his next Royal Rumble with a full head of steam. He enters, immediately cuts ZSJ off with an uppercut, getting Xavier Jr. off Edge. We then get Cesaro, Tyler Breeze, Adam Cole, and Xavier Woods all in a corner of the ring each. They sort of just look at each other and take in this moment, in a moment designed only to pop me and only me. Breeze then rushes towards Cesaro, but Cesaro catches him in position for a swing. He starts swinging the Breeze around as Adam Cole and Xavier Woods watch on before Cesaro does stop the swing and then catapults Tyler Breeze out of the ring, eliminating Tyler Breeze from the match. But ZSJ is now back on his feet. Him and Cesaro go at it. Cole and Xavier Woods get into a fight as well, which leaves just Edge and Ilya Dragunov. Edge calls on the Mad Dragon, and he goes, come on, show me why they call you the Mad Dragon, huh? And Ilya does. He takes Edge down, hits him with a big H-bomb, but of course Ilya is tired, so when he hits it on Edge, they both just lay there, collapsed. And then entrant number 20 makes his way out.
Always ready!
It's the King of Extreme, the indie god, the sports entertainment god. Matt Cardona is number 20. Just like his wife, he goes under the ring to grab weapons, namely a steel chair and another table this time. But, he doesn't bring the table into the ring. Oh, he does bring the table into the ring even this time, because the table on the women's match wasn't in the ring, and so he wants to be different. He's bringing it into the ring this time. He uses the chair, and, having the chair in his hand gives him the advantage so he can stay on top of everybody, because he's got the upper hand. So he, waves the chair around in the air as an entrant number 21 makes his way out. Welcome to Dudleyville. because this Rumble just became full of heat as Bubba Ray Dudley enters the match. Bubba Ray gets in the face of Matt Cardona, and he's like, hey, you know, I guess you're the next ECW legend I've got to embarrass. Cardona goes to kick Bubba, but he grabs Cardona's legs, like sweeps his legs out from under him and holds him in position for that was But then he looks around and, you know, Devon's not here. But he does lock eyes with Edge, his old rival. And Edge, immediately as soon as him and Bubba lock eyes, he sees the position Cardona's in. Edge just simply nods his head, immediately goes up top. And he's got to fill in for Devon in the big was up headbutt. Bubba then gets the crowd all fired up. You know, him and Edge are standing tall. He slaps Edge. He goes, Edge, get the tables. Edge, he then acts as the other half of the 3D. And they then 3D Matt Cardona through the table. And then Edge and Bubba hug, which is then cut short by ZSJ jumping both of them, killing the mood for everybody. ZSJ stands tall. He's the last person on his feet as number 22 enters the match.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Cause they love him in London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada and Mexico. They say
I believe that Joe Hendry is number 22 in the 2024 Royal Rumble match. He claps his way to the ring. You know, he stands on the apron before he enters the ring. You know, he's waving his hands from side to side. Zack Sabre Jr. sort of looks on, annoyed, going, what's this dickhead doing? But that distraction does allow Xavier Woods to quickly eliminate the television champion from the match. As Hendry then enters the ring, he gets in Xavier Woods' face and he starts waving his hands from side to side. Of course, Xavier Woods joins in, but Adam Cole does cut them off, you know, fighting Woods. And Hendry goes to go help him, but he spots a rather familiar face across the ring from him. As Matt Cardona, he's finally started stirring after that 3D, and he can't believe his eyes across the ring from him. Cardona gets in the face of Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry, as Cardona's shouting at him, sort of just like turns to the crowd, just smiling. And he just simply points at Matt Cardona. And the crowd cheers, and they erupt into chants of Edge is bitch, Edge is bitch, Edge is bitch, which of course pisses off Matt Cardona. And he goes, no, shut up, I'm not Edge's bitch. But then in the background, who do we see getting to his feet? By Edge himself. And Edge, he hears the crowd chanting Edge is bitch. And he's like, what the fuck? He like points to himself and asks, me? And they will go, no, boo, no, 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 no. And he then points to Matt Cardona. And then they cheer and go, yes, 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 yes. And then Cardona, of course, is pissed off. He's reached his boiling point. He then attacks Edge, starts to attack Edge. He goes, I'm not your bitch, huh? I'm anything but Edge's bitch. But then Joe Hendry does grab Matt Cardona and does eliminate Matt Cardona from the match before Hendry helps Edge to his feet. And Edge, of course, laughs. He endorses Joe Hendry. But Bubba Ray Dudley jumps Joe Hendry because he wants that heat. And he does get that heat by taking Joe Hendry down. And then him and Edge get back into a fight, you know, for old time's sake. Bubba drops him with a Bubba Bomb as number 3, 23 even, enters the match. Zergus makes his way out of the ring, you know, from the fucking Jurassic Age. And the ring's ready for the arrival of, you know, the dinosaur. He enters the ring, he immediately grabs Xavier Woods, hits him with a massive chokeslam. Bubba attempts to get the upper hand on Zergus, but he gets chokeslammed and then eliminated by Zergus. Zergus continues the fight, he drops both Edge and Ilya Dragunov with chokeslams. Before Cesaro flies in, he hits a springboard uppercut, staggering the big dinosaur man. He then drops Zergus with a huge neutralizer, which, you know, is an impressive feat, so that gets a big pop. Adam Cole and Joe Hendry are fighting. You know, no more eliminations, and then number 24 enters the match. Former United States Champion Pete Dunne is number 24. He immediately rushes after Adam Cole, drops him with a bit of rend, before he finally is the one to eliminate Adam Cole from the match. Pete Dunne and Cesaro then get into a face-off, because that sounds like a great time. Cesaro drops him before facing off with Ilya Dragunov, because that sounds like an even better time. Ilya eventually does overcome the uppercuts from Cesaro. He wipes Cesaro out of a big clothesline to eliminate the ECW guy from the match, as Ilya just beats everyone else's ass, does his thing. No more eliminations occur. Number 25 makes his way out.
I'm here to show the world. I'm here to show the world. Come on, bring it on.
The former and inaugural of this lineage, ECW champion Dolph Ziggler, he enters the match. He just returned this past week on ECW, and he's hoping to pick up the win, get a rematch for his title at WrestleMania. He drops Ilya with a super kick, with one also coming for Zergus and one for Joe Hendry. He gets all fired up, dropping Zergus with that big jumping DDT again. He then turns around and him and Edge have a face-off. This could be their last time ever doing so, give him a little spot in the Rumble here. Edge does drop him with an execution though. No more eliminations take place, and then number 26 makes his way out.
Sheesh.
Thank you! It's the man who scored a big upset victory over Randy Orton to qualify for this match. That being Chad Gable. He's sort of riding a huge wave of momentum heading into tonight. He rushes in, drops Dolph Ziggler with a German suplex. He then hits Zergus with a Chaos Theory because, he can do that and it would rule. We then get snippets of Gable and Ilya because, yeah, absolutely, give me that. But he does make a big statement, but he doesn't get any eliminations. In fact, no eliminations take place. And then number 27 makes his way out. ECW's Wes Lee is next up. He rushes to the ring at full speed, immediately taking down Xavier Woods and Pete Dunne, before Ziggler brings his full flurry to an abrupt end, with a super kick. Doesn't eliminate him, just, takes him down. Match continues on. There's no more eliminations, really. Kind of an uneventful 90 seconds before number 28 makes his way out.
They wanna talk, well, what they talking about? I see them running their mouth.
The former Street Profit Angelo Dawkins, former Intercontinental Champion, is next up. He defeated David Martin to make it to the match tonight, just last night, I believe. And he immediately lays out Wes Lee with a big spine buster. He gets all fired up for this big opportunity. He does enter the fray, does some cool moves, but again, nothing really of note happens in this 90 before number 29 makes his way out.
What's that mention on my ear? Perhaps the end is drawing near. Never hear the shot takes you down.
Well, batten down the hatches, former WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. He's a man on a mission. He immediately turns Wes Lee inside out with a Claymore. He does the inside out sell. And then Drew McIntyre does pick up Wes Lee after hitting the Claymore and does eliminate him from the match. But Drew is then immediately jumped on by Pete Dunne. He tosses him over his shoulders, hits him with a Claymore. Drew kips up and he's face to face with Zergus. Drew headbutts the big dinosaur, which sends him staggering up against the ropes. For a big Claymore ends his night, similar to Brock Lesnar in 2020. That elimination. Drew then turns around, and the only man waiting on his feet is Xavier Woods, who calls on Drew for a fight. Drew and Woods, they end up getting into a fight. With Woods, he begins to get the upper hand on Drew. He backs him up against the rope. He clotheslines him over the top, but he does land on the apron. Woods charges at him with a running forearm, but Drew grabs him out of the air, drags him onto the apron again. So both him and Drew are on the apron now. And, he headbutts Xavier Woods, which means Woods does stagger. But, he leans back. He is holding onto the ropes to, keep his balance. But Drew McIntyre kicks Xavier Woods' arms off the ropes, which does send him to the floor, heartbreakingly eliminating Xavier Woods from the match. Woods sort of sits on the floor with his head in his hands in disbelief. He once again has come up short in trying to overcome Drew McIntyre. Drew does re-enter the match. He takes the fight to Edge before entrant number 30 makes his way out. Montez Ford is this year's number 30, but again, we do have 10 more to go. He rushes into the match, immediately goes after his former partner, Angelo Dawkins. Dawkins does try and fight back, but in the end, Ford does ultimately send his former partner packing from the match. Tez shakes the ropes, he's getting all fired up, but Gable sneaks up behind him, bounces him off the ropes for a German suplex. He goes, "Thank you!" But as he turns around, Dolph Ziggler super kicks him, taking him down. No more eliminations take place before number 31, the second ever men's number 31, makes his way out. It's Dolph Ziggler's former Grand Jury stablemate, Damian Priest, up next. He, of course, goes right after Dolph Ziggler. They reignite their rivalry with Priest dropping Ziggler with that South of Heaven chokeslam, before he attempts to eliminate Ziggler, who skins the cat, re-entering the ring. Priest turns around, and who's there but another former Grand Jury member, his former leader, Edge. Priest and Edge go at it, they exchange strikes, both being dropped by big boots. Everyone's down, and then number 32 makes his way out. Daniel Bryan is number 32. He's accompanied by Miles Bourne. Bryan enters the ring and he picks a fight with Joe Hendry. He stomps on Joe Hendry on the floor, doing them big head stomps on the floor, before he then tosses the lifeless body of Joe Hendry over the top rope and out of the ring to a loud, loud chorus of boos. The loudest of the night so far. Bryan does, though, he takes in the boos. He revels in it, taunting the crowd, before her next mate takes an aim at is Pete Dunne, who he's had a lot of issues with recently. He continues the attack on Pete in the corner, but Ilya makes the save for Pete Dunne. And him and Bryan have another face-off, which would look like the crowd would go wild for, because they had a 99 rated match, so they'd want to see it again. Ilya smacks himself in the face, hits him in the face, gets himself all fired up, because come on. And then him and Bryan start a stiff, and when I say stiff, I mean stiff strike exchange, which ends with Ilya taking Bryan down with a big forearm, before he turns around and Montez Ford hits that jumping enziguri to take Ilya Dragunov down. Ford then taunts the crowd. He points at the WrestleMania sign, and then number 33 makes his way out. Raw's Johnny Gargano wins at number 33. He's been going through it a lot recently with all this Ciampa shit on Raw. He does enter the match and he squares up to Montez Ford, who in himself has been throwing a lot of shade at Johnny for a number of weeks now, because Bianca is feuding with Candace. And Johnny's mouthing off going, "I'm a loser, am I, huh? You saying I'm a loser?" Before he then starts his kick offense on Montez Ford, dropping him with that one final beat DDT. And then he staggers up against the ropes. A super kick by Gargano does send the former world champion to the showers. And Tez is in shock, He can't believe Johnny Gargano eliminated him from this Royal Rumble. He attempts to get back into the ring, but the referees stop him. But Priest then grabs Gargano from behind, tosses him over the top, but Gargano does land on the apron. He hits that slingshot spear from the apron to Priest to rejoin the match. He fights off with Gable, Ziggler, Bryan, those sort of guys, before number 34 makes his way out. The mood changes as Imperium order Gunther down to the ring. The ring general marches to the ring with a purpose, immediately chopping the life out of Johnny Gargano as soon as he enters the match. He then locks up with Pete Dunne, chops Pete Dunne, before eventually sending Pete Dunne packing. He then chops the life out of Chad Gable as well, before Gable is also eliminated by the ring general, who's made an immediate impact here tonight in Chicago. Gunther then chops Ziggler, because obviously Dolph Ziggler sells it like his chest has been ripped in half, which it kind of has. Gunther turns around, guess who's there waiting for him but Drew McIntyre. The huge face-off gets a huge pop from the crowd in Chicago, and Gunther does eventually drop Drew with a powerbomb and a lariat. You know, his finishing move of, I'm going to beat your fucking ass. He hits that on Drew McIntyre. But he doesn't eliminate him. But we then see Edge, you know, battered and bruised and tired. He attempts one last Hail Mary to get the Ring General out, the much younger man. But Gunther chops Edge, and he sort of old yellers him, dumping his lifeless body out of the match, so Edge is out at the hands of Gunther, as his onslaught continues before number 35 makes his way out. A surprise here tonight. The world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, makes his way out at number 35. Shamrock gets in the face of Gunther, and Gunther chops Ken Shamrock, but even at his age, he completely eats the chop. And he's like, come on, give me another one, boy. Gunther delivers another 2 chops, and then he goes for a lariat attempt on Shamrock, but he does duck underneath it. He picks Gunther's ankle, locks him in the ankle lock. Bryan, you know, he sees this. He tries to start a fight on Ken Shamrock, but he then drops Gunther and then grabs Bryan instead, locks Bryan in the ankle lock. And he does eventually let go, and they all go, yeah, you still got it, and all that shit. But Ken Shamrock has neutralized 2 of the favourites to win this match right now, as he awaits number 36. Another former MMA fighter, Bobby Lashley, makes his way out next. The Almighty enters the match, and him and Ken Shamrock have a stare down. Ken goes to punch Bobby Lashley, but he does duck that. He hits a spear. He then locks Ken Shamrock in that hurt lock. He does try and fight out for a while, but he does eventually pass out, which allows Bobby Lashley to quickly eliminate the former Intercontinental Champion and the world's most dangerous man for the match. We then get some of Lashley and Drew going at it. Gunther fights Priest, Gargano fights Bryan, you know, all that. There's no more eliminations though, and then number 37 makes his way out. Accompanied by Lord Bando, Swerve Scott is number 37, who's a rather dangerous man to be arriving this late into a Rumble. He surveys the scene as he enters the ring, and he picks on who he believes to be the easiest target, that being Johnny Gargano. He hits him with that house call kick, before he eventually does eliminate Gargano from the match. He then picks out Ilya Dragunov, who he's had a lot of history with. He attempts to eliminate Ilya, but Ilya does fight back, eventually taking Swerve off his feet for the first time. No more eliminations take place though, and then number 38 makes his way out. Number 38 is Dudley Davis. He makes a beeline to the ring. He storms straight into the ring and hits Dudley Device on Damian Priest. Lashley attempts to scoop up Dudley, but he does fight out, hitting a big DDT on Bobby Lashley. Gunther and Dudley then get at it. They reignite their issues. And then Dudley actually manages to lift Gunther up for the airplane spin. He spins Gunther around for many rotations before he then drops him with a stiff-ass Dudley Device. But, you know, because Dudley's done that airplane spin, he's sort of worn himself out. We then get some Bryan and Ziggler action, which does eventually end with Daniel Bryan eliminating the former ECW champion from the match, as he boasts to the crowd, going, yeah, I'm the fucking man. And the countdown for number 39 begins, and the penultimate entrant in this match makes his way out. Seth Rollins is number 39. He looks more focused than he's looked in a while, you know. He says this is his night. Last night he dropped everybody in that All-Star 8-man tag of a stomp, and he said, it's my time. One of those men is Daniel Bryan, who he's had a lot of issues with recently. He immediately drops Bryan with a super kick as he enters the ring, or a knee strike, actually. Yeah, I don't think Seth's really a super kick kind of guy. Priest, he then attempts to grab Seth Rollins from behind, but Seth does fight out. He hits a stomp on Damian Priest before eventually eliminating the Grand Jury member. He then drops Ilya Dragunov and Dudley, both with stomps. and then he and Gunther go face to face. Seth and Gunther exchange strikes with Rollins again, kneeing Gunther in the face to take him to the floor. He then attempts to fly in. No, he doesn't. Bryan then attempts to fly in with Seth. Seth's got Gunther on his knees. He's going to stomp him, but Bryan tries to fly him with a knee, but Seth does move out of the way. Bryan is then the one who gets stomped. He then picks, Bryan up in position for a fireman's carry to walk him towards the ropes and eliminate him. But Bryan's been a little tricky. So he's in the fireman's carry position. He starts hitting elbows to Seth's temple. So Seth, he can't quite get him to the rope, so he can't quite eliminate him. But he's got Bryan up on his shoulders in a fireman's carry, so he's got to do something to stop this, onslaught of elbows to the temple. So what Rollins does is he hits Daniel Bryan with a go to sleep. And he poses, arms out wide, eyes closed, head turned, the same pose he'd strike when the crowd sings his song, because he wants the crowd to sing him on and hype him up. But rather than sing his song, he's serenaded with a much different sound from the Chicago crowd. And Rollins just stands there. He's the only person on his feet. He stands tall, arms out wide, eyes closed, attempting to take in the sound of his song as the countdown begins. And the final entrant in the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble makes his way out. The Chicago crowd explodes for the first time in a decade, 10 years after his last appearance at the Royal Rumble in 2014. CM Punk is back in WWE. Rollins looks like he's seen a ghost. The best in the world makes his way to the ring. He takes in the reaction from the crowd, he goes, CM Punk, CM Punk. And he steps into a WWE ring for the first time in a decade, as his home crowd continue to cheer him on. He just smirks. He gives that CM Punk smirk to Seth Rollins. And Seth's looking pissed the fuck off at seeing him. He shouts at him. He's like, "We don't want you here. We don't want you here." He then shoves Punk back. Punk just chuckles at this. Seth charges at him. Punk scoops him up. He hits a GTS, nailing his first GTS in WWE in a decade, before he then quickly eliminates Seth Rollins from the Royal Rumble to a huge ovation. Punk just looks down at Seth at ringside, just smiling at him, but Seth's still knocked out from the GTS. The crowd's still going, "Yeah, CM Punk, CM Punk, CM." And then Punk turns around, and who's there waiting for him? Daniel Bryan. Their face-off also gets a massive pop. Punk and Bryan, they run back their greatest hits, basically, with Bryan also eating a GTS. Dudley then bounces off the ropes for a Dudley device, but Punk counters it into that swinging neck breaker before he eventually clotheslines Dudley, sending him packing from the match as well. Punk's all fired up, but he does turn around. He does eat a Claymore from Drew McIntyre, Welcome back to reality, Phil. But that does get Drew uber heat. Where's Bubba Ray when you need him? And Drew does mouth off at Punk as well. He then turns around to a spear from Bobby Lashley. And then Lashley, he calls Drew up to his feet. He waits for Drew to get back to his feet. And he wipes him out of a huge clothesline, which does eliminate the former WWE champion. In a big part, because he just took out CM Punk. And kind of a shocking elimination out of nowhere. Lashley eliminates Drew McIntyre. Lashley and Gunther then face off, and they beat the fuck out of each other. Gunther chops Lashley in the corner, but Lashley does fight back. He then has Gunther up against the ropes, and he goes to rebound him and clothesline him out. But as he bounces off the ropes, Swerve flies in with a kick. And Swerve manages to get the sneaky elimination on Bobby Lashley, of all people. Swerve, Ilya, and Bryan, they get into a three-way fight. That SmackDown core. As Punk and Gunther recover in the corners. Ilya does wipe out Swerve. And then Bryan does drop Ilya with a running knee. Bryan gets to his feet. But so does CM Punk. Punk nails Bryan with another go-to-sleep. Before this time he eliminates Daniel Bryan. But the side that Punk eliminates Bryan on is the same side of the ring where Seth Rollins has been knocked out. But Seth, he's just now begun stirring. And the referee's like, you got to go to the back, Seth, you got to go to the back. But Seth just stands there still, glaring at CM Punk in the ring. Punk sort of notices this, he sort of like sarcastically waves at him, blows him a little kiss and all that shit, which of course enrages Seth. He tries to get back into the ring, but the security are there holding him back. But, Bryan gets to his feet as the security has already, told Seth to start, walking to the back. But Bryan's already also being a little bit of a prick, None of these men can just accept elimination. So the referees now have to force Bryan to the back instead of Seth, which now leaves Seth unattended. So the referee's now getting Bryan to go to the back. Seth storms back into the ring. He grabs Punk, who's about to go face-to-face with Swerve. We get the Punk and Swerve face-off, but they don't get to touch, because before they can, Seth slides back into the ring, grabs Punk from behind, and eliminates him. The crowd boos. They fucking boo. There's probably a genuine concern of a riot breaking out. And then Seth goes to the outside of the ring. He stomps Punk on the floor. Referees, they then try and force him to the back again. He shoves them away. He hits a second stomp on Punk as he begins to start stirring. And then finally more security come out. Adam Pearce comes out. He goes, "You go to the fucking back right now or I'll fire your ass." Okay? And then Punk, he's screaming at him. Probably actually tells him to fuck off, on air. But we will of course censor it. But I just ad-lib the cursing in. But he would actually for shoot tell him to fuck off. And he's like, "Nobody wants your toxic ass here." And then Punk is eventually helped to his feet. And the camera's on Punk as he watches as Seth gets taken away. The security's holding Punk back as Seth goes back, and they get take Punk back after to avoid a fight. And it's basically, imagine two pissed up blokes, being escorted away by police. And then we get the camera on Punk's face, and he goes, "He better be fucking gone when I get back there. I'm gonna beat his fucking ass." And then he's also escorted to the back. Meanwhile, we have our final three in the ring: Swerve Scott, Ilya Dragunov, and Gunter. This final three, they last for a decent while, with all three men going to work on each other. Gunter eventually does grab onto Swerve and tosses him over the top, but Swerve lands on the apron. He goes to chop Swerve off the apron, but Swerve, he says, "Come on, give me more. And then he eventually does, sweep Gunter's legs and takes him down. And he sort of laughs to himself as he goes to get ready to re-enter the ring. Actually, the scenario I imagine is he sweeps Gunter's legs, and then Gunter's sat on the floor recovering. So the scenario is he's going to do a springboard swerve stomp onto Gunter on the floor. But as he gets ready to do that, Ilya flies in with a torpedo Moscow. And, it's like the Mick Foley clothesline where both men go flying over the top to the outside. But Swerve falls to the floor, but Ilya grabs onto the top rope before he eventually pulls himself back into the ring and immediately just collapses to the floor out of exhaustion. Gunther gets to his feet in the corner. He looks down at Swerve on the outside, and he looks across at Ilya, who's starting to stir again. The crowd's losing their fucking minds here. He looks like a combination of impressed and concerned at Ilya, because, this is a man who has made his life hell before. Ilya gets to his feet, but he is spaghetti-legged, and he just gives an intense stare down to Gunter. They sort of just stare for 10 seconds, doing nothing, just taking in the crowd reaction as they lose their minds. And then Ilya starts psyching himself up. He screams at Gunter before the two men charge straight at each other and start exchanging strikes in the middle of the ring. The two then proceed to wrestle each other for 6 straight minutes or something like that. Just have a fucking war in the final two to decide who's going to go to WrestleMania. Gunter gets Ilya down, and he goes up top for the splash. But Ilya springs to life. He hits a massive headbutt, groggies Gunter, knocks him off the top, but he does land on the apron. Ilya then does charge back at Gunter, who cuts him off. Both men then are back in the ring. Gunter wipes Ilya out with a lariat. But because the fight has taken a lot out of Gunter as well, it takes him a little while longer to get to his feet. So when he does eventually go to pick up Ilya, Ilya begins to get back to his feet. He's stirring again. The crowd's losing their fucking minds. Gunter looks mortified. Ilya screams at Gunter once again. And then he just collapses to the floor in exhaustion. Gunter then fires himself up, nails Ilya with another massive lariat, before finally dumping Ilya over the top rope, and his body sort of just limply falls to the floor. Ilya Dragunov is eliminated. Gunther wins the Royal Rumble. 81, which for a Rumble, especially a 40-man Rumble, is actually pretty good. Because, like, there's 40 people. Like, it will tell me in here, like, it got penalised because there were so many guys in it. Yeah. So, 81 is actually pretty good for that. I did buy the set and shit anyway, so it should still be a good show. But, yeah. But it is Gunter who is going to WrestleMania. The final four were Ilya Dragunov, CM Punk, and Swerve, with Ilya being the final elimination. Gunter did get the most eliminations. Ilya set the record for surviving the longest. So it really was their Rumble. But if I do say so myself, there was a lot of fucking good shit in this match. Setting up, you know, WrestleMania and beyond. And of course, who can forget? This man's here. Of course he is. The worst kept secret in Challenge Run history. Change gimmick. Kyle O'Reilly's got a very good The God gimmick as well. But yes, I didn't realise... like, I didn't get any comments about it. Or messages in Discord or anything about it. So, either nobody downloaded it or nobody noticed or told me. But when I created the database for this save, both Orange Cassidy and CM Punk were already under contract. So I was like, well, fuck, you know. And by the time I realised that, it was too late because I'd already put the link up. So I was like, well, fuck, they're all going to download it and no. So hopefully some of you were still at least a little bit surprised. Well, about Orange Cassidy at least. You probably weren't surprised at all about Punk. But Gunter and Florence, the Regal Coalition fans, rise the fuck up. You're eating good tonight. And the road to WrestleMania 40 is now officially underway. 92 rated show. Yeah, again, I bought all the sets and stuff to inflate the rating. Which I'm glad I did, because the Rumbles were bad. I don't give a fuck what the game says, though, because I thought this show was fantastic. But what matters more than what the game thinks and what I think is what you think. So do let me know what you thought in the comments below, and I'll see you next time for Raw. The first show following the Royal Rumble, and the first on the road to WrestleMania 40. See you then.